Hello, my name is Sandra Rapoport, and I'm an attorney, a teacher of Bible, and the author of the book, Biblical Seductions, 6 Stories Retold based on Talmud and Midrash. I've been a student at Drisha for many years and will be teaching a series of classes at Drisha this fall. This week's Torah portion is Vayeira, and is without doubt one of the Torah's blockbuster parshiot. It is a tapestry spanning 5 thrilling chapters in the book of Genesis, chapters 18 through 22, with Abraham, Sarah, Lot, Hagar, Ishmael, and Isaac playing dramatic parts on the biblical stage. Let's follow the arc of the action through Sarah's eyes. These 5 chapters begin with the day the 3 angels visit Abraham and Sarah's tent to herald the end of Sarah's barrenness. And they end, possibly as many as 38 years later, with the Akedah. Our parasha actually reflects the story of Sarah's agonies and ecstasy. The agony of Sarah's prolonged childlessness in a society that measured a woman's worth by the number of her male children. The agony of being regarded by Abraham as his sister and not as his wife. The agony of being forcibly taken into the harem of 2 powerful kings and of enduring unspecified terrors there. The agony of her rivalry with Hagar, her Egyptian handmaid. The ecstasy of motherhood, of finally becoming pregnant and then of bearing Abraham's son. Sarah's ecstasy of satisfaction, watching her son Isaac grow to maturity. And finally, chapter 22, the last of the 5 chapters in our parasha, tells the story of the agony of the Akedah. From the aged Sarah's standpoint, this is certainly also an agony of watching her husband take her beloved son on a journey toward an unknown destination. For the Torah reader, there's the added tension of the dramatic irony. We know, if Sarah does not, that she is destined never to see her son Isaac again. In fact, not only is Sarah silent throughout the story of the Akedah, but we never do hear from her again, as next week's Torah portion opens with the news of Sarah's death. So it would seem, from a straightforward reading of the Torah text, that Sarah's life ends in an agony of loss and uncertainty. But is it clear from the text that Sarah died thinking that Isaac had been sacrificed? Or did she know that he was spared? What did Sarah know? This is a tantalizing question, and the rabbis offer different opinions. According to Rashi, the close proximity of the Akedah story to the news of Sarah's death is an indication that her death resulted from the Akedah. In Rashi's words, "V'nismecha mitat Sarah la'akedat Yitzchak, lefi she'al yedei bisorat ha'akedah, parcha nishmata mimena v'meta." Rabbi Levi, in Breshit Rabbah, suggests that Sarah dies of grief in the aftermath of the Akedah. While she might have known that Isaac ultimately was spared, Sarah could have died of the existential terror that he almost was slaughtered. For still another view, the Midrash Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer tells of a tale of Satan, who, foiled in his desire to see Isaac dead, instead turns his evil intentions on Sarah. Desiring now to provoke her death, the Satan disguises himself as a traveler. He tells Sarah that her old husband has taken her son away to sacrifice him on an altar to God. And the boy was crying out, confides the disguised Satan, and there was no one to save him. Midrash tells us that at these last words, Sarah herself cried out 3 times. Her soul departed, and she died. The 3 blasts of the shofar on Rosh Hashanah are said to immortalize Sarah's 3 anguished cries. And lastly, according to the Siftei Chachamim, the messenger of doom need not even have been a supernatural Satan. It could have been just an ordinary wayfarer, relating to Sarah the unembellished story of the Akedah, before he could relate the happy ending, that Isaac was saved from death at the last moment. Perhaps even in the instant he paused in his telling to catch his breath. Sarah's aged heart gave out, and she died. We could sink into despair as we read Sarah's life story. We think, is there no relief for her? Actually, there is. And it appears subtly in the Torah text. If we look closely at the very end of our parasha, at the end of the Akedah story, we read a short series of easily overlooked begats, naming only male children, but with one exception, the laconic mention of the girl child Rebekah, born to Bethuel, Abraham and Sarah's nephew. This odd placement of the heralding of the birth of Rebekah, Isaac's future wife, after the drama of the Akedah, but before the Torah narrates Sarah's death, is an indication that perhaps Sarah knew not only that her son survived the Akedah, but also that his future wife was already waiting in the wings. So we see that while Sarah is absent textually from the Akedah, it is of course Abraham and Isaac who take center stage. The rabbis of the Midrash, missing Sarah, jostle and grapple with her absence and inject her sighs and terrors into this most difficult chapter, where Abraham explicitly passes his covenantal destiny to Isaac at the end of the Akedah. The rabbis midrashically place Sarah there also. They link Sarah to her future, to the newly born Rebekah, Isaac's covenantal wife and Sarah's successor. So I invite you to view this panoramic parasha with optimism rather than with despair. In the end, what did Sarah know? The Baal HaTurim, Jacob ben Asher, in his 14th century Torah commentary, answers our question. Before she died, teaches the Baal HaTurim, Sarah was surely comforted, knowing that as her sun was setting, Rebekah's was dawning. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.